Hi people, it's Archivist here, and today I'm going to give you a very quick guide on how to beat the Chained Ogre, one of the first mini-bosses you'll face in Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. And I decided to make this video because I just completed the main boss, and I'm now doing my second playthrough. And the Chained Ogre was without a doubt the first wall I hit in this game. Considering that you can reach this guy quite easily in about 30 minutes, when you're playing it for the first time, he represents a tremendous challenge, and I almost feel as if this came too early because it can give the impression that every mini-boss and boss will be as hard as this guy. And while, yes, the bosses in Sekiro are challenging, this guy is up there, particularly given how early you face him and how, shall we say, modest your toolkit is when you fight him. So I came into this, and because it's my second playthrough, I made sure that I didn't take advantage of any of the extra tools or abilities I'd gained, and that I didn't actually self-heal when I did this fight for the second time. I only relied on a single resurrection, which is what you do have when you play this for the first time. And also it seems as if his damage scales, because something you'll notice with the Chained Ogre is that his grab attacks can be absolutely devastating, in some cases almost one-shotting you. And I was about to give you this complex rundown of all his attacks and how to counter each one, but it's quite simple because you can react to them in almost the same way for each one, and that is to jump. If you want to beat the Chained Ogre in one attempt, though if you can beat him in one attempt, you are a god. You simply need to have reaction times, which is the case with any boss or any enemy in the game. You need to have patience, not to be too greedy when you go to attack, but the actual key is to jump, which is slightly counterintuitive to how you've been taught to play the game up until this point. Up until this point, you've been fighting enemies with swords, and you've been basically told that you need to be deflecting attacks in order to win. And there's a mini boss before this, a tougher enemy that indeed relies on you doing that. But I found that with the Chained Ogre, although you can attempt to deflect some of his attacks, it's much safer to simply jump away. Because he can't block, you might as well just aim to take his health down. And that is, in my opinion, the best way to go at this, because although that does take a while, it is the safest approach. So all I did was make sure that I would only ever strike the Chained Ogre after he had done an attack or a grab. So if he went to grab me, I would jump backwards as retaliation. Do not sidestep, because he has this magic ability to, even if you've seemingly dodged perfectly, he can sort of teleport his hands and grab you. Trust me, I've learned that the hard way. Do not sidestep with this guy. You have to jump back. When he dives for you, you want to jump back, and ideally slightly to left or right so that you can avoid him. He has a kick, which he often follows up with a secondary kick. So if he kicks once, just assume he's going to kick again and continue to move backwards. But you always want to be defensive with the Chained Ogre. Don't go in for the attack unless he's just finished doing an attack, because he'll be in a staggered state. And I found that during the first health bar, you can get away with maybe 2 hits, and then you must jump back. Don't go for 3, it's just not worth it, considering he can one-shot you sometimes. Especially if he throws you off the side, which he can do. But during the second health bar, I found that it was only possible at times to do a single strike before I started to move backwards. And after you do that strike, immediately start moving backwards, and with the minimum amount of distance, goad him into either attacking or grabbing, and then jump back. Always jump backwards in order to get away. And then also, don't forget, use the sprint button, which, if you're not sure how that works, basically you hold the sidestep button down so you can quickly run back to him and attack him and slash him several times. And again, don't get greedy. That's a critical way of doing this. Even if you think you're about to knock him out, just always have that discipline. During the second health bar, if you want to be really safe, I'd just go with 1. That's what I ended up doing. And on the first health bar, it seems that you can get away with doing 2 strikes after waiting for him to finish an attack cycle or a grab. And his grabs seem to come in 2 distinct flavours. Either he does the very close range grab, where he sort of just goes down to grab you, or he does a slightly scarier one where he runs at you and jumps. For that one, start backing away immediately, and as you get the sense that he's about to leap, do your jump backwards and you can make it. And some of the misses you can do there are quite amazing, where you are jumping back as he's flying towards you. But yeah, in that case, if he's doing the run towards you, again, I can't stress it enough, do not attempt to sidestep. It does work sometimes, but it is not a reliable method of avoiding his grab. I've noticed that his slam down, so where he raises both fists into the air and smashes down, you can deflect that quite safely, but I found that if I wanted to play it safe, I would just maintain my personal rule of jumping away, because it gives you a rhythm that the moment he starts to wind up an attack, do that jump back. If you are feeling slightly braver, his kicks and his smash down can be deflectable, and it is good because it means you can get his posture up and you can finish the fight earlier. But this is what I would describe as a whittle down fight, where you can afford to be more defensive and wait for him to come to you rather than you running to him. You know, the big no-nos of this fight: do not rely on sidesteps to avoid his attacks, and do not go to attack him unless he has just finished an attack. Otherwise, it is far too easy for him to go down and grab you, because there's such a tiny window that you have to get out of that grab attack. Also, a quick psychological point: do not be demoralized by this guy. He is incredibly hard for his position in the game. He does not represent every single boss fight. Some of them are easier. There are harder ones. I mean, I spent an embarrassingly long time in the last fight, but do not think it's all like this going forward, especially as you learn a lot from this fight that will help you going forward. But I personally think, although everyone will have their different opinion, I think the way to go with the Chained Ogre is to jump away all the time, rely on that jump, don't attack unless he's just finished attacking, and be restrained. Maybe go for a double strike on the first health bar, single strike on the second health bar. So hopefully this has been in some way useful. I know a lot of people struggle with this guy. I certainly did. I mean, when I first beat him, it wasn't through using this method. I think I just got a bit lucky, but on my second attempt, I was specifically looking for some kind of weakness. And the moment you see that a boss doesn't have a defensive ability like a sword block, you know that there's a way to whittle them down. And I would apply that logic to other bosses as well. So if you enjoyed this video, I'm more than happy to make more as I go through. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.